بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ بوأنا لإبراهيم مكان البيت ألا تشرك بي شيئا وطهر بيتي للطائفين والقائمين والركع السجود.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. The prohibitions of Ihram are many. There are as many as 25 prohibited acts, prohibited things that a pilgrim cannot commit. The first one, as I mentioned in the previous session, is hunting. If a person kills a grazing livestock, the kafara is to give a camel, to sacrifice a camel. The kafara is very heavy and sometimes it is unaffordable. If a person kills a wild cow, the kafara is a cow. If a person kills, of course when I talk of a person, I mean a pilgrim. A pilgrim who is in the state of Ihram. If a pilgrim kills a donkey, the kafara is a cow. But if he kills a gazelle, a deer, which are wild animals, of course, the kafara is a sheep. And remember always that killing domestic animals is allowed. It's only the wild animals, the wild birds that cannot be killed. Now, if a person kills a bird, such as a sparrow or a lark, which is a small bird, the kafara is not a sheep, the kafara is not a camel. The kafara is 1 mud of foodstuffs. As I mentioned in the previous sessions, probably I have mentioned that 1 mud is equal to 750 grams of foodstuffs. And if a person happens to kill a sparrow, a lark, or such small birds, he has to give 1 mud of foodstuffs to the poor, and that is the penalty, that is the expiation. Now, the second prohibition is, of course, sexual intercourse or sexual activity. It has to be remembered that sexual intercourse is forbidden, whether it is with one's wife or it is sexual intercourse with a woman through adultery. It is absolutely forbidden. When we talk of sexual intercourse during the Hajj pilgrimage, it has to be remembered that a person can be in the company of his wife or a woman can be in the company of her husband. They can live together, they can be together, and they can touch each other without pleasure, of course. They can do so. And they can sleep together in the same room, but of course they cannot engage in foreplay, they cannot kiss each other, they cannot touch each other, and they cannot have sexual intercourse with each other. And of course, if a pilgrim has sexual intercourse with his wife while he or the woman is in the state of ihram, it is necessary for that person to give a camel as a penalty, as expiation. He has to sacrifice the camel. And it should also be remembered that the sacrifice can be done both in Mecca as well as outside of the Mecca, the holy city of Mecca. If you are back home and if you did commit an offense, if you committed an act which was forbidden and which was among the prohibitions, you have to give the penalty, you have to give the expiation, and you can do it in Mecca or out of Mecca. According to some scholars, the expiation for hunting should be given in the holy city of Mecca, and it cannot be given out of the holy city of Mecca. Now, if a person, let's assume that a person has had sexual intercourse with his wife, he must give a camel as a sacrifice and as a penalty. But if he cannot afford a camel, he should give a sheep as a penalty, depending on his ability. Of course, if he is not able to give a camel as a penalty, he has to give the penalty in the form of a sheep. Now, in some cases, the Hajj is destroyed, the Hajj is invalidated. If a person engages in sexual intercourse before the Sa'i, which is one of the rituals of Hajj, he has to repeat the Hajj in the ensuing year, in the next year. But if he has performed Hajj, the Sa'i, and he commits the sexual activity or the sexual intercourse, then his Hajj is in order, but he has to give the penalty. And the penalty, as I mentioned, is a camel. Now, the third prohibition is kissing a woman. It is not permissible for a pilgrim in the state of ihram to kiss his wife with passion, of course, with passion. If he does so, and as a result of kissing he ejaculates, semen comes out, he is liable to pay a penalty, and the penalty for the kissing which has resulted in ejaculation is a camel. Wherever, this is a general law, wherever a person ejaculates intentionally, of course, and he engages in such an activity which results in ejaculation, whether it is by kissing or by touching or by masturbation, in all these cases the penalty, the expiation is a camel.
يا دافع الخطوب يا جابر المعطوف يا من هو مندوبي فعفوك مطلوبي يا دافع الخطوب يا جابر المعطوف يا من هو مندوبي فعفوك مطلوبي يا ستار العيوب يا غفار الذنوب يا ستار العيوب يا غفار الذنوب يا علام الغيوب يا كشاف الكروب.
But if a person kisses his wife and the kissing does not result in ejaculation, of course, there is no penalty for it, although he has committed a wrong action. He has committed an act which he should not have committed, and that was kissing. He should not have kissed his wife. But since the kissing did not result in ejaculation, there is no penalty for it. And the fourth penalty is touching a woman. It is not permissible for a pilgrim in the state of ihram to carry, to cuddle, and to hug his wife with passion. And of course, as I mentioned in the previous, as I mentioned in regards to kissing, the same rule applies here. If a person does so, if a person touches his wife, whether he ejaculates or not, he becomes liable to a penalty. But the penalty, if he ejaculates, is a camel, and if he does not ejaculate, it is, of course, a sheep. It is a sheep. But that is only in the case when a person cuddles or hugs his wife with passion. The penalty is a sheep. But if he touches his wife without passion, for example, his hand comes in contact with his wife's hand, and his body comes in contact with his wife's body, or they may sit together with one of them putting his knee on the leg of the other, and there is no passion, there is no sexual feeling, there is no arousal, there is no excitation. In this case, there is no penalty. And of course, no penalty is incurred when there is no passion. And the fifth prohibition is looking at and playing with a woman. It is forbidden for a person in the state of ihram to engage in foreplaying, to engage in playing with one's wife. Of course, when a person plays with his wife or engages in foreplay or engages in courtship, that is always with pleasure. And a person in the state of ihram cannot look and cannot play with his wife with the intention of driving sexual pleasure. If he looks at his wife or at another woman with pleasure and he ejaculates, of course, then he is liable to a penalty, and the penalty is a camel because he has ejaculated. The penalty is a camel. And if he looks at her, at his wife, with passion but does not ejaculate, of course, or he does not look with passion and there is no desire, then in this case there is no penalty and there is no expiation. The sixth prohibition is masturbation. Masturbation is absolutely forbidden, whether a person is in the state of ihram or he is not. Whether a person is in Mecca or out of Mecca, masturbation is absolutely forbidden. Under no circumstance a person is allowed to masturbate. If a person is in the state of ihram, he has committed a double crime. First, because masturbation was essentially and basically forbidden. It was forbidden in the first place. Even if a person is not in the state of ihram, masturbation remains forbidden. Now, if a person is in the state of ihram, there is no doubt that it is forbidden, and the crime is so grave. And if a person masturbates while he is in the state of ihram, he has to give a camel as a penalty, as a kafara. And there is no doubt as to the penalty of a camel being the penalty. The seventh prohibition is marriage contract. It is forbidden for a person in the state of ihram to conduct marriage, to contract marriage. And it is forbidden for other people also, even if they are not in the state of ihram, to conduct the marriage of a person who is in the state of ihram. If a person who is not in the state of ihram holds the marriage ceremony of someone who is in the state of ihram, he also has to give a kafara, and the kafara is a camel. And also the husband and the wife who have attended and who have consummated the marriage, they should also give the kafara of a camel. And it is also not permissible for a pilgrim in the state of ihram to witness a marriage, what to speak of consummating a marriage. It is not permissible to witness a marriage ceremony. Witnessing a ceremony, a marriage ceremony, conducting it, helping a marriage ceremony, and of course attending a marriage ceremony for a person who is in the state of ihram is forbidden. And the camel, and of course the expiation, the kafara, is a camel. Now the eighth prohibition of ihram is using perfume. It is forbidden, absolutely forbidden for a person in the state of ihram to use perfume, to wear perfume, to use things that have scent, to use or to eat anything that has aroma. One should avoid wearing a cloth that has fragrance, that has aroma. And one should not even use a soap which has fragrance, which is aromatic, which has a scent, and the scent remains on his body. So smelling, using perfume, or smelling flowers that have scent is forbidden. And eating a kind of food which has fragrance and which has a taste and a smell that spreads, that's also forbidden. It's not permissible to wear any kind of dress that has fragrance. Of course, a person can stay at a place where there is some kind of smell, but he himself has not used that, he has not worn it. But of course the place where he is there is a kind of aroma, there is a kind of fragrance, but that he himself should not have used it, and he should not smell the fragrance intentionally. If he smells or eats anything that has fragrance, or if he smells a flower which has fragrance, then the kafara is a ship and he should not do so. And of course, a person should, when a person is at a place where there is fragrance, a person should avoid that place as far as he can, and he can leave that place quickly, because he will have to smell that willy-nilly if he stays there. And the fragrance, of course, when we talk of smell, we talk of sweet smell. But if there is bitter smell, it's not necessary to take quick action to leave that place and to avoid that bitter fragrance, bitter smell.
ناجيتك يا رحمن ودعوتك يا ديان يا خالق الإنسان الله 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 يا خالق الإنسان الله الله الله.
The kafara, as I mentioned, is a ship. Now the 9th prohibition is wearing sewn clothes by men, not by women. Women can wear their own dress, their own garment, and that can be sewn, and there is no problem. But a man cannot wear anything that is stitched, that is sewn, and that is forbidden. Of course, a person can carry his wallet, and a person can carry a purse. It depends, and there is no problem in carrying such tiny things. And of course, when a person is carrying a wallet or a purse, he or she ties it to her waist, and there is no problem. The pilgrims do this because they have to carry their mobile, they have to carry their money with, and the garment, the ihram, which they wear, it has no pocket, it has no sewn things, and a person has to keep his belonging, his precious things with him. And of course, the purse is a good thing with which one can carry her, or the wallet. Of course, the wallet a man can carry to carry. Can wear to carry his mobile set, or maybe his money. The 10th prohibition is applying antimony. That is what we call surma or collyrium. It is forbidden for a person to use collyrium for beautification, because surma is used by a woman or by a man, maybe for beautification. A person in the state of ihram is not allowed to beautify himself, to use adornments, to use makeup. All of these things are forbidden for a person in the state of ihram. And the applying surma, antimony, or collyrium is forbidden. And if a person applies surma with the intention of beautification, of course, he has to give, it is preferable for him to give a sheep as a kafara. And of course, looking in the mirror, it is also very common, because pilgrims move from the station, from Miqat to all the way to Mecca, and of course they might see themselves in the mirror. It is forbidden for a person in the state of ihram to look at a mirror with the intention of beautifying himself. This is an important condition. A person cannot look at a mirror to see himself or herself in order to beautify himself or herself. It is forbidden. And if a person unintentionally sees himself in the mirror, there is no problem. Or maybe if a person is driving a car and he has to reverse, he has to look at the mirror to see behind himself or herself, there is no problem and there is no penalty for that. Or if a person accidentally sees himself in the mirror, there is no problem in it. Or maybe if you have a mirror and you have an injury on your face, or maybe you are looking and you want to see something, if there is anything, an impediment on your face to remove, you can see, you can look at your face in the mirror and there is no problem and there is no penalty for that. But if you look in the mirror for beautification, in order to comb your hair or to beautify yourself, then of course it is not allowed and the kafara is a ship. Dear brothers and sisters, there are, of course, I have mentioned 10 prohibitions. Inshallah, in the next session, I will mention the other 15 remaining prohibitions of ihram. These are important, especially looking in the mirror, wearing perfume, wearing makeup. These are the things that a man and a woman have to take into consideration while being in the state of ihram. And these are simple things. A person might commit mistakes, might not be noticing, might be actually not aware of the rules regarding these things. Of course, every pilgrim goes to the Mecca along with a caravan. Those who go to Mecca and they fly to Mecca, they have to be with a caravan, and of course every caravan has a leader. The leader is responsible for explaining and telling things. He has to inform the pilgrims about these prohibitions. It is his duty to do this. And of course, if a person is in such a caravan and the caravan leader does not mention these things, he has to look for these things. He has to investigate, he has to conduct a research and look what is haram and what is allowed, what is not allowed, and he has to be mindful. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا
يا ربنا
واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا
يا ربنا